so I'd like to welcome Paul Camara from Spring Green Landscaping to the show. Hey, Paul, how's it going?
Excellent, Julio. Excellent.
That's awesome. Thank you very much for taking time and coming onto the show with me. I really appreciate it.
We're brothers from other mothers, from what it
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I've got my, for those listening that aren't watching the video, I've actually put on my Portuguese soccer jersey. Found out the other day in talking and setting up the podcast that we're both Portuguese descendants. And not only that, but not actually from the country of Portugal, but from the little group of islands in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean.
Yep, absolutely. Same island, too.
Yeah, same island, too. Awesome. So that's very cool. As you said, brother from another mother. We were, to those listening and watching, we were rocking out, or at least I was when I first came on here, was rocking out to some hardcore Portuguese music. To welcome Paul.
There's some good music out there. I mean, I listen to it as well, on the walker mower, and I put it on the headphones and enjoy.
And you're in the zone, eh?
Absolutely.
Awesome. So let's just get started here with the interview, and I'm going to maybe tell us a bit about yourself and your business.
Well, we're a small business. We employ about three guys normally. We service about, this is going to sound like a small amount, but we service about 25 to 30 clients, full service, some large, high-end properties. I'm on the job all the time. I do it as a passion. I love the work. I love the horticulture. I love doing good work. So it gets me to wake up in the morning. If I had to be in the office and pricing work and dealing with fires, putting out fires, I don't have to be in it anymore. So we do it so that it's small and fun.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I think anybody that follows your Instagram would see the sort of quality of work that you're doing, and it's very like you're even yesterday posting pictures of sharpening hand shears and stuff like that, and most people today wouldn't even have a set of hand shears in their business. The types of work that you do is just, as you said, high-end properties, and you're doing full service. You're taking care of all of that stuff for those clients. It's cool to see some of the stuff that you do.
Yeah, we do full service, but we don't do everything. I act kind of as a contractor of sorts.
Yeah.
When someone builds your house, you hire the contractor and they manage all the subs. I manage a small fertilization company, irrigation, all other companies on the properties, and I'm kind of like the point guy that has to be there for all of when they're doing those services. I have to coordinate those services for the client. The client is very much hands off. Most of the properties I take care of are mostly hands off, and other than calling me and saying, this needs to get done, or when are we doing that, or I call them the same way to make appointments. Okay. So it's full service, but there are things about the industry I don't like to do. I don't like to fertilize. I don't like to snow plow. I don't. There are things that I don't do anymore.
Yep.
We have we have an excellent network of guys, of other companies that we work with. So
awesome.
That's basically how it's full service.
Okay. So what first attracted you to the lawn care or landscaping industry and made you want to start your own business?
Julie, I'm a third generation. I've never worked in anything in my life other than landscaping. I grew up doing this. So I remember I was driving by a property the other day, and I saw a stone wall that my grandfather built. My grandfather's a mason, my father's a mason, my brother's a mason. I grew up doing stone masonry and landscaping. But I was
going to say, if you're Portuguese, it's either landscaping or concrete in some sort.
Exactly. I got scars all over from the stonework, but I saw a stone job that I remember going with my grandfather to deliver the stone for the guys to do the work. And I remember standing on the back of the seat of his truck and having I was that tall. I mean, I was standing on the seat of his truck with my arms out on the back. I remember doing that. I could have been more than 4 or 5 years old with him.
Wow.
So it's been a lifelong, I've never wanted to do anything else. This is
Mhm.
what I've always wanted to do. I didn't want to, I never worked anywhere else. Always
Yeah,
worked
yeah.
for my father and just uh, kept going that way
Awesome.
until 2000. And I can get into that later. That's when I started my business.
Oh, okay. So you were working for your father then in the beginning?
Yeah, my father left my grandfather's company in '78, started his own, and
Okay.
we worked. My father, my brother, we had a big business then. We did stonework, we did landscaping, the fertilizing, we did full service, in-house, big company.
Oh, okay.
And in 2000, when I was 18, I was tasked with taking over the landscape maintenance part of the business, running
Okay.
it and doing that. And we had some nice properties, but we had the kind of normal, you
Hmm.
know, half and half properties. Not,
Yeah, yeah,
not great, but dusty. It was
yeah,
big.
yeah, yeah.
So when I was 18, I had to do that. And then 10 years after that, my father decided he wanted to get out of the landscaping and just do stonework.
Oh, okay.
And that's when I had to leave because I didn't want to do a life of stonework. That wasn't my thing. So, through the family we spoke and I said, I'm going to move on, and I did. And the best part about it was I was given the okay to take my grandfather's business name back. Spring Green Landscaping was my grandfather's business name.
Oh,
So like I
that's
said, my father left my grandfather. He started PC Landscaping for his name, Peter Camara, Paul Camara.
okay.
And in 2000, when I started mine up, I asked my mom, I asked my father, I want to take Spring Green back. They said, no problem, take it on. So
Hmm.
the name is alive still.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's a cool
I'm
story.
very nostalgic kind of a
Yeah,
guy.
yeah. I can see that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, do you have any employees, or are you a one-man operation?
No, I got normally three guys, um, two that are, Joe, he's been with me for 20 years. We've been working together for 20 years. He turned
Wow.
65 this year and he doesn't want to give up. So no
Yeah.
problem. And John, we've been working together. Geez, I think he's on his 13th or 14th year, maybe even a little bit more. And we had another gentleman, Portuguese guy, that he was with us for about 6, 7 years. He got ill. So we started to have to hire other guys and they
Mhm.
haven't been able to click.
Oh,
And
okay.
that's my biggest hurdle right now, or obstacle,
Hmm.
is finding that other guy. It's
Yeah,
been
yeah,
difficult. That's the
yeah.
difficult part of my business right now, because
Okay.
we have a very strict way of doing things, and it's
Yes.
hard to find those guys
Hmm.
to commit to that, I guess, is the
Yeah,
best.
yeah. And I would say too, it's probably with your level of perfection, just seeing the how detail oriented you are and the pride that you have in your work. It can be hard to, I would imagine, finding employees that would have that same
Yeah,
mindset.
I think it would be easier. And that's been whole my mind. It's like, why would you want to work someplace that's going to make you, do half, half half fast work instead of,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm willing you're going to work right next to me. You'll
Mhm.
almost be an apprentice. Why don't you want to,
Yeah,
stick this?
yeah.
But I don't know if the work ethic's there. That's the hard part. I mean, the detail work, the kids that have worked for us, young guys, they love the work we're doing,
Hmm.
but they lose interest, or they just don't have. I don't know. I'm not sure. Not sure.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't
It's
want to
the
bash anybody, any
yeah,
generation. Not even a generation thing. There's older
yeah,
guys that don't hang around either. So I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah,
That's the hard part.
yeah, yeah.
That's
So
the generation thing.
you were talking earlier too, and this kind of relates to this question of employees. So you've had the experience as well when you were together with your father of having, you said, up to 20 employees at one time,
At one
and
point, yeah, yeah.
yeah, and having a large company. So what was the motivation to then stay small? Then when you decided to go on your
Oh,
own?
geez, Julie, there's a lot of motivation of that. The number one is quality of work.
Hmm.
Number two is headaches. Number three, overhead. But for me, first and foremost is quality of work and just being, it's not the best business sense, but I'm a control freak. I
Mm.
like to be in control of the work, how my customers see us, the, what's the word I want to say? Our image, all of those things. I've me too, right?
That's me
And
too.
and it's a bad thing if you want to have a large business, but it's not a bad thing if you want to grow. And that's where a lot of younger guys and people don't see that growing and staying small is still a viable option. Because as good as you get, as better as you get, the more money you can charge, and you can always grow from within.
Yeah,
And,
yeah,
but if you want to have multiple trucks and you want to drive around and go visit, you know, have an easy day, then yeah, you got to grow. You got to become
yeah,
big.
yeah,
You got to take on all the overhead. So
yeah,
yeah, the overhead. I mean, there's a lot of negatives for me in the big. Plus, it's the stress.
yeah,
My
yeah.
father, so much stress.
Hmm.
He only. I handed to my father. He had, they in Portugal, fourth grade education.
Yeah, yeah.
In here, and he had a big today. It's funny. Today would have been his birthday. Today's his birthday. He died a couple of years ago.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
No, so it's good to give him the props that he had, because he
Yeah.
worked hard, and he with limited education he built a awesome business.
Hmm.
Just when he got a little older, he didn't want to have that big of a business anymore,
Okay, yeah.
and he wanted to downsize and only do the stonework. The stuff that my brother's doing right now, my brothers stay together, and the stuff Peter's doing with outdoor kitchens and outdoor
Mm.
work together. I do the landscaping work on the properties that he does all the outdoor work on. It's unbelievable what
Yeah,
people are putting in.
yeah.
Unbelievable.
It's amazing, just the work ethic that that older generation had, and coming to North America. I know, you're talking there about your dad, and just memories of my dad's stories. He's still alive, thankfully,
Yeah,
but it's just, I remember him telling me stories when he first came to Canada, working across the country in the railroad, laying track down,
kidding. Wow.
and like building out the railroad network across Canada, working in these remote locations for 60 cents an hour. He used to always say 60 cents an hour. And I have pictures of him with a rusty steel 50-gallon barrel that would be full of water, with a communal ladle that they would scoop and all drink the rusty water from, because that's all they had.
And he's still alive. Isn't
And they
that awesome? Now
yeah,
everything's getting purified and
yeah, yeah, yeah. His iron levels were really good.
yeah, right.
But just yeah, it's just insane, like what they would go through. And just you see that as a kid growing up, that work ethic and stuff. And yeah, it just gives you a different perspective.
Yeah,
um
the same thing. My father was a farmer out there. His father
yeah,
worked as they call it a sharecroppers, whatever they call it here. That's what they had. Someone owned the land and they worked it.
yeah, yeah,
At 10, 12 years old, he would have to go with the saw, the hoe,
yeah,
and
yeah,
weed all the farms with no shoes on. No
yeah,
shoes.
yeah.
I mean, borderline child abuse back then.
I know.
Child abuse, really.
Yeah,
But that's the life he lived. And when he came over here, he wanted to enforce, really instill, work ethic in me and my brother. It
yeah,
was, we worked all the time. It was always, when he got home from school, take a dump truck, bring a load of mulch to that guy or
yeah,
that
yeah,
place. It was always work. And I don't have a bad memory of it. It wasn't
yeah,
something I look back and say, oh, he was a jerk or he overworked us.
yeah,
No,
yeah.
it was good
No,
for.
it's, yeah, it's always good memories. And it, like I said, that instills. I've had a job since I've been 11, starting with newspaper routes, after school and stuff, right? I've worked ever since I was 11 years old, from one job to another job. I've never had a time where it wasn't working, doing something or
Yeah.
another. And it's just, I guess, from those, just that example that
Yeah, you got the exam. I mean, you feel badly too that they're out there, they're killing themselves for you, and you got to help the family. I mean, that's something that's kind of dying now, but yeah, you got to help the family. That's what we did. I mean, a lot of times we weren't getting paid for what we were doing, but we were going out and going to work because it was
yeah,
helping the family.
yeah, yeah.
It's
Awesome.
a different lifestyle,
Yeah.
different, but it was fun.
So
I enjoyed it.
awesome. So this next question is one of my absolute favorites, and it is one that I always get a different answer from for each business owner that I ask it. But if I ask somebody who's not a business owner, they have a 9 to 5 job, their answers are always the same. And it is, how would you define success?
How would you define success? Well, I'm not going to go on to the money, obviously, because that's not really what success is. But a lot of people, I guess, would understand it that to be. Success comes with being content, I guess, content and happy with what you do, being able to wake up in the morning and be content with what you do. That's a
Mhm.
form of success. I guess there's a lot of forms of success, but having a good reputation, yeah, stuff like that. I mean, that's what
Yeah.
I would say. I mean, being able to wake up in the morning and do what you want to do,
Yes.
you
Yeah,
know,
absolutely.
that was one of the drivers for me being in business, because at this point, there's a lot of opportunity to work for bigger companies if you have knowledge, if you have experience.
Hmm.
Um, Larger companies are paying, good payrolls with good healthcare. What stops me from doing that, and I could probably make more money doing it with them, is I don't want someone to tell me how good of a job I can do. You
Yeah.
know, because there's quotas, there's you got to do this fast, and you got to do this many, or you're taking too long, or don't do that good of a job. That I can't handle. I need to be
Okay.
able to determine how good of the job I can do.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
want someone else to tell me that. Even
Yeah.
my customers, I tell them all the time, "Oh, do that. Don't You don't have to do a good job over there. No, no, I'm the one
Yeah.
that's how good of a
Yeah.
job I'm going to do."
Yeah. I think that's part of that control freak part of it, right?
Exactly. That's why I
Yeah.
can't work with someone. So I feel that success is in being able to do a job that I can do well,
Mhm.
and own my own business, being able to wake up in the morning and be happy, and make enough money to support a life and a family, and that's what it comes down to me, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's awesome. I can totally relate to that, and even to the control freak part of it too. My when I started my business officially, I started by buying a franchise, and after a little while, my brother-in-law also bought into that same franchise.
Yeah.
So we were running, 2 landscaping companies under that same franchise name. And then when I decided to leave, he basically was like, "Well, if you're leaving, I'm leaving too. I'm not going to stick around, right? If you're going to do it, right?" And then he was like, basically, "Hey, do you mind?" Because I had done a bunch of work and research on setting up my new company, and doing everything from the logos and branding and all that sort of stuff. And he's like, "Hey, do you mind if I work under your name, kind of like the franchise, but just as a separate company?" I was like, "Yeah, you know what, that might work. It'll make us look bigger than
Mhm.
we are individually, because the same branding and stuff." So it's funny because the control freak part then of me comes in, because even to this day, I'll drive in a neighborhood and see his truck and trailer, which is exactly the same as my truck and trailer, and he'll be working with like a different hat on. He'll be like having like a steel hat or something, and I'll bust his chops. I'm like, "Where's your hat?" Right? And it's
I
funny
get
because it's
that.
his
Oh
own
yeah.
company. It's funny because it's his own company. I don't deal with his customers. I don't think, right? But it's like I'm busting his chops because you're using my name, your thing. You better have your
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. With me, it's the trucks and the same thing, the uniform and everything. I don't like the trucks have to be clean. I don't like having scratches or anything, like that on it. But the great thing is my guys are the same way. The two guys, they're both old schoolers, and they take care of everything so well, and are careful. And like I said, a new guy would come on, or they don't understand that it's a truck. No,
yeah,
no, it's my truck, and this is how we do that. I don't care if it takes you a minute more to get in the truck, but you're going to get in a certain way. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It is. It's a little controlling, but for me, it's important.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. So, do you do any of the actual lawn care and cutting now on these properties, or is it just strictly the horticultural
No, no.
maintenance part?
We mow 2 days a week. We mow on
Okay,
Thursdays and Fridays.
okay,
So yeah, no, I'm on. We have walker mowers.
yeah,
We have one right 32-inch walk behind mower.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
but the walker mowers are so nice for me to do the properties that we do. And you know, everybody has their mower. You know, I mean,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
you can't really argue
yeah.
what mower you're running. But for me, the walker mowers are great because the clients that we have, they want to go out on their lawns. They don't want to have grass on their new sneakers, or they want it
Yeah, yeah,
pristine and clean, and that really works for us.
yeah. It
Me,
vacuums it up
comfortable
like.
to run. You know, they're comfortable. Having the trimability on both sides, having the central vacuuming system, being able to, you know, it's just to me is the best machine.
Yeah,
So yeah, 2 days a week we mow, the four of us. As we're mowing, I run a mower. Joe runs a mower. One guy does usually the string trimming,
okay.
and we have one guy that does, between me or the other guy, we do the horticultural services. Like we will go in the beds, make sure they all look good. If there's any plants that are growing, you know, exponentially, we'll cut them back on the days of mowing. And yeah, that's how we get through the day. We do very little. I mean, so, you know, it's funny how you hear somebody that does 30 properties in a day when we're doing 8, 7,
Yeah,
9
yeah.
maybe tops. Uh, but yeah, and we run 2 trucks for our mowing. We have our tool truck and we have the truck that pulls the trailer, because a lot of times I'll have to stay behind to do a little extra work on the
Mm.
property while the guys go ahead of me a little bit. So yeah,
No, very cool, very cool. Yeah, very, very,
mulch, things like that.
yeah, very, very cool. I bought a brand new walker in 2007 that I had, I think for 4 or 5 years.
Yep,
Great mowers. You know, the vacuuming system stuff. For me, I ended up selling it for 2 reasons. The first was it rains a lot here. Basically, the uh,
bad machine for the rain.
same thing as Seattle, like same weather and everything. And it wasn't so much that it did too bad in the rain. It was more that the ground was always soft, and the mower was heavy, and it would
Really
sink.
is when it's wet.
Yeah, and there was no ground clearance under it because of the blower and stuff. It would get stuck right away. And then the other is because of the crazy property prices here. As larger properties sold, they would get subdivided into tinier properties. And my walker was a 42-inch, and it sat on my trailer 90% of the time. It
It
was
was too
just like,
big.
yeah, it was just too big. 42 inches,
Really?
like, yeah,
Wow.
just way too big in the dense city
Yeah,
where I'm at. So it's yeah, so I ended up having to sell it. But it was a great mower. If the conditions were right,
yeah,
it
yeah.
just it left a look. It looked like velvet, right? It was like so
Well,
nice.
on the same token, the 48 inches that we have I have 3 48-inch walkers. One that we don't use that much, but it's perfectly fine. But the 48-inch walkers we use are undersized for a lot of the properties that we do.
Oh, okay. Oh,
They're not. A lot of the properties, I don't know if you saw it. I mean, you could put a 61-inch mower on there to get them done quick, um, but you just won't get the quality of cut that the customers are expecting of me. Not to say that if I changed mowers that I'd get fired, but that mower really gets the attention on these properties. It
yeah,
really.
yeah.
So yeah, it takes us a little bit longer, but we have the vacuum. And one of our properties, we load up during the rains, like the heavy spring season. We could take probably around 6 cubic yards out of one property of grass.
Wow.
So yeah, that's why another reason why we run 2 trucks too, because we are um, disposing a lot of grass waste. But we have a farm here that composts it and actually brings it back to usable material again. So it
Oh,
works out.
cool.
Yeah, it works out well.
Very, very cool. So is all of your properties all residential then, or do you do anything commercial?
It's all residential, but
Yeah.
there are 3 commercial properties that we take care of for one of our residential
Oh, okay.
clients.
Okay.
Yes, 3 manufacturing facilities that we maintain, but they're maintained like residential properties.
Okay.
It's not get in, get out. They're detailed properties. We designed them, we installed them, we planted them years and years ago, and they were designed to be highly maintained. If someone else, I mean, if anybody else bought the properties, it would be a very difficult thing
Oh,
to
okay.
afford. But this is it's very important to these clients to have the places look the way they do. So it
Oh,
works
wow.
out well for me, and it
Yeah.
works out well for them.
Yeah, that's awesome. Very difficult to find a client like that with,
It,
a
it,
manufacturing.
it's very difficult, but when you have them, see, I've had commercial work where you have to bid it every year. Like
Yeah.
you have to come up with a new bid, and I didn't like that. I mean,
Yeah.
I've been fortunate to not have to do that. And I'm not saying that other people shouldn't, or it's a bad idea, or you have to do what you have to do. But if you can become fortunate enough not to have to be in that game, you can be
Hmm.
profitable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I've had bad luck of losing a commercial property because the president of the association changed, and they have their buddy, and
Yeah.
that's how you lose it. Property that you've been doing for 15 years. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's kind of heartbreaking to me. Plus, having to be low bid, I can't be low bid anymore. Just
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I'm exactly the same. I started out with a few commercial properties, and I've told this story a bunch of times on my podcast where I took over one and I transformed the place.
yeah.
I remember the guy coming out, the guy that hired me, and he was sort of, taking care of it for the owner as far as like the hiring of people to work on the property. And so he hired me. I started out there, and I would be like, 8 o'clock in the morning, I'm there starting. I'd say hi to the guy. And at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, he's getting in his car to go home. And he's like, "Are you still here? Like, what are you doing here? Like, the last company was never here that long." And
Yeah.
I said, "Yeah, I just want to take care of this. I want to make sure this is taken care of." And then as the weeks and months went on, he just kept saying, "Wow, the owner is like, they're mind blown how nice the place looks and how, uh, you know, all that." And I was like, "Hey, that's great." And then the next year came along, and I was like, "Wow, I actually spent a lot of time there. I'm gonna have to, and I probably underbid it because I wanted to get in and stuff." I said, "I'm gonna have to, increase the price this year, right?" And he's like, comes back to me, and I think I asked him for like $200 more a month. For was like not even because
Yeah, that's mine. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like nothing, right? And he's like, "Yeah, sorry."
Oh no.
Yeah. And I was
Really?
like, are you kidding me? After
Oh
everything I've
man.
done, I've transformed the place, and for, you know, $200 more. And I found out later, or at least I had a hunch later, that the owner was paying him to take care of the place, and then he was subletting out, and the less he could get it for, the more he would keep the
Of
difference in
course,
his
that's
own
the
pocket.
offer. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
So I was like, that's what, and then I was like, you know what? Forget it. I'm done with commercial stuff.
the
I,
commercial's difficult, man. It's a racket. It's definitely a racket, and people that are in it, they're in it, and it's funny because I got friends here locally that are bidding these commercial properties, and it's for 1 year. That's all you signed for is for one
yeah, yeah,
year, and you have to commit guys, equipment, trucks for these are big properties, so and after 1 year they could be gone. I mean, there is no, well, there is a little bit, but it's very little. Um, what's the word I'm trying to say? Loyalty in the commercial.
yes. Yes, no
commercial.
loyalty at all. Yeah. I learned from that experience, and I became very strict about policies with clients. I do all of my clients, I bill them all to their credit cards, and I have their
Yep,
credit cards on file. That
nice.
includes commercial. So I was getting commercial properties coming to me, like a grocery store and like a leasing company that leased like the property out. And they were like, "Yeah, can you give us a quote?" And I gave them a quote, and it had my terms. And they're like, "Okay, so 60 days net and stuff." I'm like, "No, I need a credit card." "Oh, we don't have a credit card." I'm like, You guys have a credit card. Don't tell me you don't have a credit card, right?" I said, "I'm sorry, you'll have to find somebody else." I get a call from them with their credit card number. I was like,
No,
That's it. Like, this is my, if you want me, this is what it's going to take.
I've never done that.
Yeah.
I don't have that set up yet.
Yeah.
And you hear on social media a lot of guys doing that. Boy, it really sounds like the way to go. I mean, I'm still old school. You send the bill, they pay you, and
Yeah. Yeah. For
it
you, I think
works.
it's different because you're very niche and you're dealing with these, higher end properties. So there's, you're taking care of everything for that customer. They're not.
I know, but if they don't pay me 1 month, I'm sunk.
Yeah. But at the same time, with me, I'm doing mainly mowing stuff. I do have those full service clients, but there's still a part of my business that is just mowing.
Yeah.
And so there's no, I'm very strict about getting paid, right? It's like,
Awesome.
I
I
got
know
to get paid. I've
myself.
not, I've never been stiffed on a job, but I've had to chase money in the
Yeah.
past. And I was like, forget it. This is, I want to not worry about it. It's too much stress. So give me your credit card or I don't work for you. That's all
Yeah.
it is.
There's a guy that's on one of the pages that he actually has the work all paid up the year in advance.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I've heard of that too. Yeah.
You heard of that too? And I says, "Are you kidding me? I wouldn't even have thought that." And
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm the king of the guys that say, "Don't think for your customers." I tell them, "See, if you're going to price a job, don't worry about if they can afford it or not. Just price it the way you can make money." And
Mm-hmm.
when I'm hearing these things, I'm like, "This is awesome. I love this."
Yeah.
Try it.
Yeah. That's, actually that brings up a good point. That's been one of my, um, I guess, biggest struggles growing through my business
What's
is
that?
just coming from my background of my parents and them working hard and being frugal for, not, trying to support the family and,
I
they,
totally
that
understand
when
that.
I would go price customers, I'd feel bad for them about what I'm pricing, right? Because it's like I need to make money, but it's like, man, I feel bad that, they're probably, because I remember those memories of growing up and having just my dad as the income and all that stuff and stuff, right? So that's
Absolutely.
been my
My
biggest thing to
father
just,
used to. Well,
yeah.
yeah, my father was that way, and it was something that would bother me as a kid that we'd go see. He always took me to jobs to learn how to price and how to do stuff like that.
Hmm.
And we'd go back in the truck and we start adding things up, and I'd help him add. And he was a mathematician, unbelievable how he was, not having limited schooling. And he goes, that's going to be too expensive. They're not going to go for it. And I said, all right, so we take a little bit more off when we get the job. And every time he would do that, I said, well, why didn't we just keep it at the higher price that we were going to? We could have made more money. They're probably going to go for it.
Mm.
But he never saw it that way. He was like, kind of like what you were saying. Don't worry about it. These are good people. They.
Yeah.
And when I got into business, I threw that crap out the door. I said, I said, if we're gonna work for you and you want us to do it, then there's value in that. And
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
you want us to do it, and it also comes with having a good list of clients already that you really don't care if you get the job anymore.
Hmm.
That's important. I mean, that might sound a little arrogant as it was coming out of my mouth. It sounded a little arrogant, but don't take it that way. Once you get to a point where your list is full,
Yeah.
don't make it bigger.
Yeah.
Take away whatever's garbage and then fill it with the other ones.
The other ones. Yeah.
And then then it's full with all good ones, then you can start to grow. But a lot of people, they have those $25-$30 lawns, and then they continue to grow, and they have this full list of small dollar work when they could have just gotten rid of that and made their business a little bit more profitable. So,
Yeah.
that was, so yeah, I don't think for my customers anymore. It's
Yeah.
not something that I think is good business, but I totally understand that a lot of people do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if
Yeah.
there's any kind of, advice to younger guys, if you're seeing that a job costs you $1,000, make sure you get that $1,000. Don't be nice, because you'll never make it up. You can never make it
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I've grown a lot from then. I'm very strict now
Yeah.
about stuff like that, and very strict about clients that are if I pick up a client, and being aware that that client is taking a certain amount of time or a spot on my schedule, on my limited schedule, because I only do a limited amount of clients as well.
Yeah.
So trying to maximize the profit from each of those clients. So if a client only wants the mow and blow, I'm like, you know what? You're still taking up that same spot
Yeah.
of me having to come there. Then another client that would, be more profitable, that wants fertilizing, that wants aerating, that wants all that other stuff. And the lawn care part isn't that profitable. It's more, work and
All in the enhancements. It's
yeah,
all in the enhancements. If you get on a client's property and you can sell enhancements, that's where it's. I mean, obviously there's pruning, mulching, all that stuff, but being able to have a relationship with your client that, see, it's like I said, I don't want to sound arrogant, but this is what we do. This is how I do it. My properties that I work on, I feel are mine. They're,
Mhm.
I take ownership of the property.
Yes.
So, my clients will walk around. I have one that actually jokes, like if he messes up the lawn by driving on it or something, he'll come to me, Paul, I'm sorry, just fix
Yeah.
the lawn. But
Yeah.
other ones we can walk around. And I love, people complain about talking to their customers. I absolutely love talking to my customers because that's where sales come. And when
Yeah.
you genuinely love their property, you can tell them, you know, Mr. Tomei, we got, that back corner, we could really put a nice garden back there and do this. And 9 times out, and you always say, when you're ready, when the day
Yeah.
comes and you're ready, that would be a nice garden in the back. And you know what happens 9 times out of 10? Do it. Do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
It's a good
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. It's that's funny because
Being able
I'm.
to find the work under your feet is where it's at. It's
Yeah,
where it's
yeah, yeah. That's awesome. I'm sort of the same way. I'm almost sometimes feel like I'm stalking my customers because I'll be driving by and see something or something out of place, and I'll be like phoning them or texting them that, hey, there's a, I don't know if you're aware, but there's a package at your front door that's just sitting there that maybe you want a thing, right? Or something like that, right? And or looking at our, I remember texting a client last year. It was the middle of summer, drought was hit, the whole block was like just brown hay, and
sure.
his lawn was the greenest luscious lawn, right? And I said, I took a picture and I texted him and I said, I'm not one to brag, but you got the only green you got the only green lawn on the block. And he's like I noticed.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, couple of years back, something kind of similar. We were working on the property, and I noticed that they had had a sprinkler leak right near the house where the water comes out of the house and into the
Okay,
ground.
yeah.
It was leaking, and the problem was when it was designed, it was leaking right near a basement window well.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I took it and I said, you know what? They weren't around. That was the big thing. They were away.
Mm-hmm.
And I just took it upon myself. I said, I called the irrigation guy. I said, get over here. You got to fix this, get it repaired, and bill me. I figured, I said, it was probably a $200 or $300 job. I mean,
Yeah,
it was. So I took a picture of it and I sent it to the owner. Now these are large dollar guys. They're not,
yeah.
our normal customers. And I says, we got a problem. And I wrote in the text and I showed the water around. He goes, oh my God, I got to call so and so and this and that. Thank you for letting me know.
Yeah.
I texted him back. It's all done.
Yeah.
What do you mean it's all done? I said, it's all taken care of. I already called him. He's already done. It's all done. He
Yeah.
goes, oh my God, that's awesome. Thank you. Thank you. That's the way it worked out. And being
Yeah.
able to do that kind of stuff for your clients and them giving you the trust, obviously, to do it too. But that's how you gain trust, is doing little things like that. It's an investment in a way.
Yeah, 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 absolutely, absolutely. That's awesome to hear those experiences and that type of motivation that you have behind your work and building that uh, trust in those clients. And like I was saying, like that's like your best job security
The relationship.
is that,
Oh,
right?
it's
Is
a
that
relationship.
relationship. I've
Yep.
told stories about with my clients when I do my air rating. I have my air rating price, and there's been some new companies coming out where they show up with one of those like Econoline vans, a 15 passenger full of university students, and they'll have a flatbed trailer with like 15, 20 aerators, and they drop them off on the corners of the neighborhoods, and they just go door to door air rating and
Price
offering
the lines too.
lowest prices on air rating that you've ever seen.
Yeah.
And the first few years I was kind of like, oh man, these guys are like killing the market, their thing. But then I started to realize that none of my actual clients were taking them on.
Stay in your
Um,
lane. You got to
and
stay in
they
your lane.
and they still were, even though these guys were, one of them was telling me about this guy that came, and he I charged them $75 to do their lawn for air rating, and he said the guy came and offered him 50, and he's like, no, I've got a guy that does it. And the guy goes, okay, well, what about 35? And he's like, no, 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 I've got a guy that does it, right?
Awesome.
He's my guy. And then the guy goes, well, what if we pay you and you let us do it? And he's like, no, 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 you don't get it. I've got a guy that does it.
You
So
are.
even though
Absolutely.
he was being offered this much lower rate, He's like, no, I'm gonna go with a guy, even though it's,
I
uh,
love it. Awesome.
but it's because of that relationship that
Yep.
you build, right? So yeah, no, that's awesome.
Relationships key. Relationships with your customers, especially if you want to. You like I say, I just want to go to work. I don't want to have to deal with overhead pricing, not overhead, but having to price every job I do. I just want to go there and do whatever I want to do.
Yeah, yeah,
And you got to find the clients that are okay with that, which they're out there. They are. I mean,
yeah.
they're looking. What I hear from clients about that service is they can't find guys to do it.
Mm,
That's what I hear all the time.
yeah,
There's 3 or 4 other um, I don't know the word, large properties that wanted me to do it. Actually, neighbors of properties, and I told them I can't. And they says, "Well, I really want you to do it. Can't you just grow your business?" And I tell them, if I grow my business, then it takes away what you're wanting from me. I said, "Me, I won't be able to be here."
yeah,
"Oh, okay. Well, if you ever get an opening, let me know because I want
yeah,
you to take care of the thing." So being able to say no to work
yeah,
kind of important just to have that relationship. And they actually appreciated it. That's, after I've told, that's happened twice to me, a couple of times.
yeah. No, that's awesome. It's another thing that kind of goes along those lines. I always try to tell new guys starting out is stick to your guns when you're pricing. Like once you price, you're gonna have those customers that are gonna say, "Can you do it for this much? Can you do it for that?" If you have to be willing to walk away. Your pricing, you have to make a profit. And if you start playing that game, they're always going to do that every time they
Well,
ask
not
you.
only that, exactly. Doing that, number one, it says you don't value your work. It
Yeah.
looks like you stopped again.
No.
It says that you don't value your work, number one, because if you really want it, you can do it for cheaper.
Yeah.
Number two, it looks like on top of that, it looks like you're I don't want to say, it looks like you're taking advantage of them because you have this high price
Yeah.
that you work down from.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, just stick to it because
Yeah.
there's only negatives that can come from that because they're always going to try to do it to you every time, like cash work. If you
Yeah.
take
Yeah.
cash work, oh, I'll do it. What if I give you cash? Every time you give them a price, they're always going to say that to you. I'll give you,
Yeah.
and you're going to get hit. Just
Yeah.
stick
Yeah.
to prices. Absolutely.
Yeah. 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 That's another one too. I always tell the customer that, sorry, I don't take checks. I don't take cash. I said, every 5 years, when I go into my bank and I have to renegotiate my mortgage or something like that, I could have $100 bills falling out of my pockets. But if I can't show that on paper, it doesn't
Absolutely.
mean anything to me,
Absolutely.
right? And so
Absolutely.
it's got to be above board.
It was nice for the old timers like our fathers and people like that to have that cash hanging around, but no one had it's almost like worthless now in a way. I mean,
Yeah.
unless what do you do with it? I mean, you can't do anything with it anyway. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, so awesome. So this next question is another one of my favorites, and it is probably one of the questions that makes guests sort of have to think a little bit about it, and that is share with us a time you struggled in your business, and maybe what you did or learned to overcome it.
Yeah, struggled. Well, first was leaving my father's business. That was one of the hardest things I ever had to do,
Mm,
obviously. But
yeah, yeah,
6 years into my business, I wanted to grow because everybody tells you I wanted to grow. Everybody tells you you have to grow. And so in 2005 and six, I had the plan to grow. I had the guy to be, I had the foreman, I had all the workers, I had all the work. People were asking us to do work. And right in the middle of the year, 2 guys left. One of them was a foreman.
okay,
And that year, I called all the new customers and I told them, "I'm sorry, I can't do it. We're not going to do this." And we went back to being small again. And that was the hardest year because I had to do something I don't like to do, and that's not follow through with what I wanted to do.
okay,
And it was the best thing that ever happened to me because it really gave me focus on what I wanted, but it was extremely hard to get through.
okay,
Because you have all this work that you have to do and you just can't do it. You just can't. And I'm not
yeah,
going to trust some guy that I can just hire off the road to run part of my business. I can
yeah, yeah,
It took the kid that I hired, and he's like a little brother to me. He just needed to move on to other things. I mean, there was no animosity. He just needed to move on to a better life, and
Yeah.
this had to happen right in the middle of the year.
Yeah.
That was that's that's the hardest thing right there.
Okay.
Absolutely, that
Okay.
year, 2006.
Okay. Awesome. A great story there.
Yeah.
So what is your, and I think we probably just from the beginning of this talk here get sort of the idea, but what is your favorite thing about being self-employed?
Jeez, I just love it all. I mean, I can't imagine. I can't imagine working for somebody. I never have. I've never had
Yeah.
worked. I've never worked for anybody before.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
Favorite thing would be, don't think I'm naive to say freedom. People say that you own your business to say freedom. Freedom is the total opposite of owning a business.
Yeah.
I get my own time. You can't make your own time.
Yeah.
You have to love owning a business. You have to actually love. But for me, it's being able to be in control of the kind of work I can do.
Okay.
Um, Being in control, having the equipment that I want to have, the trucks I want to have, the work I want to do. Um, yeah, I can't. I don't even have a point of reference of working for someone else to
Oh,
to
wow.
to understand that. I just
Yeah.
don't have that. So um, I think it would. Better question: what do you think about working for somebody else, other than vacation time and
Yeah. Yeah.
days off, paid? That stuff I don't understand.
Yeah. Yeah. No kidding. Yeah, no kidding. That's funny. I think I told this story recently as well with on a different podcast. My best friend from like elementary school, his father owned a automotive body shop, and that's all he knew. He grew up working in that body shop. When his father got ill and passed away, he decided that he didn't want to do that anymore. That it wasn't really his passion and stuff. So he went and got a regular job, and he was telling me a story about his interviews, and they're asking him about saying something like, your first year, and it was like a union job that he was applying for. And they're like, your first year, you get 5 weeks vacation. Are you okay with that? And he's like, 5 weeks vacation? I haven't taken 1 day vacation in 20 years.
Yep, yep, absolutely. I've never taken a vacation in the summertime before in my life.
Yeah.
I scheduled my wedding in February.
So that was funny that
Totally get that. Totally
that's fine. And going back to that favorite thing about being self-employed, you mentioned freedom, um, and not fooling yourself. And I think because I'm always talking about that, I'm always saying that I love the freedom of it, but you just brought into context that maybe I should explain that more. And
Oh no, I don't know. I've never heard you say that, so
oh,
that.
okay. So it's not for me. For me, it's not the freedom in the sense that I think it's because I love doing what I'm doing, and that's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the freedom, right? I get to
Freedom,
choose
I understand
what
that. Yeah,
I'm doing, right? So yeah, so that's
but freedom from your business, I don't think there's freedom because they're
yeah, no, no, no,
like, oh, I can make my own hours. Really?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I can't make mine.
Yeah. Oh, and,
Yeah.
and that's another thing. Like I tell people too, like, this is what I do. This is how I run my business. This is how, and it may come off sounding really easy. Like I'm saying, this is like a piece of cake. This is a thing.
Yeah.
And I'll be the first one to tell you that it is a piece of cake for me
Right.
because it seems to click for me. Like it just makes sense. I was meant to do this.
Absolutely.
But that doesn't mean it's going to look or feel as easy for somebody else.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And
I got younger guys that come around and always asking me, for advice and stuff like that in my local area. And they say that they want their business to be like mine.
yeah, yeah,
I want my business to be like yours, the way your trucks are, the way. And I tell them, I said, no, you don't. I said, that's only good for me. I mean,
yeah,
you have to know yourself. You got to know what makes you tick. If this is something you want, great, you can. But don't think that I'm not the average owner that goes golfing in the afternoon.
yeah.
Is there something good for that? Yeah, I think there's a lot of owners that can do that, and I think that
Mhm.
that's good for them. I don't because I don't like that, but I'm married to this.
Yeah.
It looks so easy on the outside, is what I'm
Yes.
trying to say. But it works for me because this is my business. I understand mine. I
Yeah.
couldn't be able to run. I have a cousin, love him to death, but he's probably one of the bigger excavator companies around here. 10-wheelers, trailer dumps. But he
Mhm.
goes on a lot of vacations, and I get sometimes envious of that because his
Yeah.
lifestyle. But the stress that he has, I don't want to have anything. I wouldn't want to have anything to do with either. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, it's everybody just needs to stay in their lane and know their wiring. I say that to a lot of people.
Mm.
Every house has its wiring, what it can take, what it can't. You got to know your wiring, and my
Okay.
wiring is this business.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, that's a great way to put it as well. So you mentioned this, and obviously this question I don't think really applies to you anymore. So you can reference kind of maybe when you started,
mhm.
but in what ways do you market your business, and maybe share your number one marketing tip?
Okay, marketing.
Like I said,
I don't.
you're pretty established now, so I don't think you do much marketing other than probably just the word of mouth that gets around.
Well, but there's a trick to that,
Okay.
and to put it into words is a little bit difficult. I don't even have a telephone number on my trucks anymore.
Mm,
I don't like cold calls. I don't like people just asking me to go see jobs. I don't.
mm.
As arrogant as that may sound, I don't want to deal with that.
I'm the same way.
Right. Well, I'm just I don't
I
have a
don't.
website.
Yeah. Okay.
All the little features that I have, and it's more for my fun than anything else, just to put photos up and so my friends can see stuff
Okay. Yeah.
or things like that. But if you want good work and you want to make money, networking is where it's at.
Hmm.
You have to know people. You need to go and speak to people. You have to meet people. And I can give you an example of my business. Is my business has gotten to where it is because of about 3 different people in my life, and
Okay.
they were all in the landscaping industry.
Oh well.
Um, there's something in this industry is if you're really good at something, you're going to be referred by other people in the industry, whether it's a landscape architect, a landscape designer, a nursery, other fertilization companies. Those people are looking for people that are good because
Okay.
they're the ones being asked. When you go to a good nursery, those people are being asked all the time, who can you refer to us to install
Hmm.
the plants or maintain the property? I'm very, very active in our state nursery landscape association.
Yeah. I see
And
you're the 2019 Rhode Island Nursery and Landscape Association president. Whoop whoop.
the president, I wasn't going to go there, but I'm very active in the association. And like I said, I don't know, I might have said this earlier, but I have a network of people that I work with, whether it be fertilization, tree and healthcare, all of those guys I met through the association
Okay.
because that's where the good guys are.
Yeah.
And man, there is absolutely nothing like a referral. And people say, oh, word of mouth is the best thing. Word of mouth isn't even close as much as in networking, as being referred to by someone that's good,
Yeah.
by a nursery owner or a landscape architect. Once you get that kind of a referral, all bets are off
Yeah.
because you're the guy. It puts you in the power position. It puts you in the position of they want you more than you want them. And
Yeah.
again, not to sound arrogant, but that's where you want to be. You want to
Yeah.
be to the point where and that takes time. This isn't something that's
Overnight. Yeah.
overnight. Believe me, it's not even the thing. But if you start your business small and you enter that with that mindset that you're going to be good, people are going to notice.
Okay.
And if you can be around other people that are in the way of those people that are looking for people like that. Someone said it's not who you know, it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Hmm.
I mean, you can even take that further. I mean, it's not who you know, it's not who knows you, it's who knows you that when they need you. That's the most important. that's the most important. I mean, I have a friend that needs a boiler guy. I got my boiler guy, right?
Yeah.
What's that guy? All right, I just send them down, right? That's where
Yeah.
it's at, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's where it's at. And to have those relationships, you have to go out and meet people, whether it's in your landscape association or the chamber of commerce, wherever it is. You got to be around people,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
you know, for people like me, that I'm not so much of an extrovert, but I do like to be around people, and it helps.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I've seen that firsthand with just people around, my circle. I'm very introverted, so it's hard for me. I try to push through, and obviously doing podcasts and videos has helped a lot with that, just in the last few years. But seeing other people, I know a guy that has a company, and he's very successful in the terms of money that he makes and
Makes good
stuff.
money.
Yeah, and always the brand new vehicles and the fancy Escalades and all those things, right? And he's always on the phone, always talking to people. He knows everybody. He has all those connections. He's always schmoozing, right? And it almost becomes like a running joke. We're like, man, don't you ever get off the phone and all this stuff, right? And he's like, no way, man, you know it, right? You're like, I'm always working those things, right? And like you said, it works. When he needed or knew somebody that needed landscaping and stuff, he was calling me and saying, hey, can you go and hook up this guy I know and stuff like that? He's looking for somebody quality that can do it and all this stuff, right? And yeah, it's interesting to see that
Yeah,
as
I'm
relationship
not.
there.
I'm not the textbook guy for it too, because I get nervous in big groups. Even
Okay.
as you just said, the president of the association,
Yeah.
I don't talk in front of people. So I
Yeah.
have, there are other people that kind of talk for me because I'm nervous speaking in front of people. Yeah, I'm not the typical go out and BS everybody and stuff like that. But you know, yeah, I really, really believe in networking. Networking is huge,
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah.
More
Yeah. I
people
think.
you know, that are in the way of the people that you are trying, and not only that, having your focused client too. I mean, that's important. The kind of the what that one client that you really want. And for me, it's not just big properties. It can be a tiny property, but as long as they want it perfect, I don't care. Let's go do it. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Actually, the bigger ones, that's actually a very important thing, and I'll touch on that. Um, you got to have a mixture of clients. You got to, if you're going to have a few big ones, that's all you can have. You can't have all big places. You got to have a mixture of certain sizes and certain expectations. I mean,
Hmm.
you have certain customers that don't expect you to be there on April 1st, right?
Yeah.
But you have those ones that do. So
Yeah.
what if they all wanted you on April 1st? You'd have a problem, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to have a different mixture of expectations from your clients. So that's just something just to be in there.
Yeah, no, that's great. And just dialing it back a bit to another saying that I've heard quite often too is I think it's your network equals your net worth, is something that
I've
that
heard that.
people
Yeah,
that people will say too. So yeah, just interesting thoughts there. So
yeah.
what are your future plans or goals for your business?
That 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 Julia was probably one of the hardest things for me.
Okay.
I don't have a solid plan. I'm 40. I'm going to be 46 this year.
Hmm.
Um, and if I can't find people that I want to work with, that I enjoy to work with,
Yeah.
probably going to have to dial it down because, like I said, I do have a problem with quality of workers.
Yeah.
But I'm not afraid of paying good workers. But you better, you got to work well. So I did purchase a property, and there's a strong possibility of me getting into the nursery business. I enjoy
Okay.
plants. I love plants. I love to sell plants, talk about plants. That's what I really like.
Hmm.
And this piece of property fell on my lap, and it's commercial property, and it's going to work out well for me if I want to get into that business. If I don't, it'll probably be some kind of a rental thing.
Okay.
But I can see that it might be easier for me to find someone to work for me in that field,
Hmm.
watering doing more menial tasks than actually having to climb a 16-foot ladder to prune topiary.
Yeah, yeah,
That's getting very difficult to find guys to do that.
yeah.
And I can see that. So if I can find guys, I'll continue doing what I'm doing for the rest of my life. I don't have problems with that. But
Mm.
with my experience, I'm starting to see that it's getting more and more difficult. Even as our association, which you touched on a little while ago, I mean, we have an apprenticeship program just for the association, just to try to bring more people into the industry.
Oh, okay.
Because
Okay.
people don't want to be. It's an epidemic throughout all the trades. I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
electricians, plumbers, everybody. We're having a hard time finding guys that think that this is a viable industry to be in, which it is. I mean, geez.
yeah,
But the hard work and being dirty is a negative to a lot of people.
yeah, yeah. I can see that.
But teaching
Uh,
them the value in doing the work and explaining them the value and what you can do with your hands in this industry, I think people will turn around. I'm hoping. I'm trying to be optimistic. That's my
yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah. No, I totally feel you. Yeah, I'm one of those people that even a basic lawn mowing, um, and I'm making sure those edges are crispy looking, and I'm taking photos of their lawn and stuff, and people like look at you like, what are you, like, weird, like, why are you taking so many pictures? But it's like, because I love
I
the
love it.
properties. I love going up and what it looks like when I'm done, and and it's like, man, I've been here, I finished the job and been here 10 minutes now, still taking photos and stuff. It's like,
I do. I love Instagram, Julio. I've fallen in love with Instagram. I don't know what it is. I like to post pictures. So I'm working, right? And I'm on the mower, or planting, and I see like an angle, I'm like, oh, that's a great picture.
yeah,
I
yeah,
gotta take that picture.
yeah,
Right? I feel
yeah,
like a kid, but it's fun.
yeah,
It's fun.
yeah, yeah. No, it's fun, and when you have that pride in your work,
Yeah,
you do something right, you want to share it.
yeah, exactly.
So
And if it can motivate someone to do, a little nicer work, or make them want to do that thing, I'm all for it, man. I
yeah,
love
yeah, that's awesome. So this next question is kind of a fun one,
it. Okay.
and it is basically, if you can maybe share the weirdest thing or craziest thing that's maybe happened to you doing your business.
I'm a little nervous to tell the story. You told me about this one, and I said, all right, so the weirdest thing that's ever happened to me, and trying to find the right words to describe this, was when I was probably in my mid-20s, working for my father,
Okay.
and it was on a large estate-sized property that we used to do back then. And we had a couple of guys. Like I said, I was in my early 20s, because the kid that was working for me was in his early 20s too, and we would have a fun. And I used to do string trimming, and he'd go in the back with the walk behind, and he was mowing in the backyard.
Okay.
So I come around with the string trimmer. The other guy's on the other side of the house. I come around with the string trimmer, and I see the kid looks at me with his eyes huge, walking the walk behind. And I go, "What's up?" And he's going like this with his head. And I look over, and the owners of the property must have been away, and they had people house sitting. All right. So they were probably in their early 30s at the time, but they were in a precarious position. And it took us 2 hours to maintain this property.
Mm.
2 hours to maintain this property. They never got up. Never got up. And I still talk to Steve today, and I says, "Do you remember that?" He goes, I can't believe that day that happened to us. We're mowing the lawn, but we went, and they're there, just in that position. This is a family show, but this is what happened.
Yeah.
You asked me the question, I'm going to answer it. That's the weirdest stuff that ever happened to me. How can you not get up?
Yeah, that's funny.
Three
That's
or four
funny.
guys mowing your grass, and they're just there
They're
enjoying
just
it.
there enjoying themselves.
Yeah.
Wow. That is pretty strange. I had one that was similar, but it wasn't quite to that. I did this one lawn that was really nice. They had a nice in-ground swimming pool and like the patio with like the lounge chairs and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. They had
And
they was at a pool. Yeah, I did
oh,
tell.
okay. So I get there to mow the lawn, and the guy, he was a pretty young guy, and he lived there with his girlfriend. And so I get there one day and he's not there, but his girlfriend is there and she has all her friends there. So there's about 3 or 4 girls and they're all in their early 20s, um, in their like skimpy string bikinis, laying down by the pool. And I'm there to mow the lawn and they didn't leave.
Yeah.
They stayed there while I'm trying to mow the lawn. Needless to say, that lawn got a double
Ruined
cut
the
that
day, right?
I was on my walker. That lawn got a double cut.
Yeah. Slowly too, right?
Yeah.
Never looked so good before.
Yeah. But I just, and like part of the lawn was like right by the lawn, the chairs that they're lying on. So I was like right beside them, like a foot, 2 feet away, and they did not care. They just
You knew what
stayed
they were doing.
soaking up the sun while I'm mowing the lawn. And I was like I just didn't understand. I was
Like us. It's like I said, I still talk to Steve now. He says, "You remember that day?" He says, "I can't believe that happened to us."
yeah.
The whole time. And he's in first gear. The old days, it was a belt drive mower. And you used to be mow in third gear, third, fourth,
Yeah.
fourth, nice. He was in first gear. He's going third gear out and then first gear back. Third gear out.
Yeah. First gear. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
I remember telling my wife about that too, and then from then on, that house, that customer, always became known as Bikini Girl's house. So I was like, I got Bikini Girl's house today. I gotta go.
We do that too. They all have their nicknames.
Yeah.
The Portuguese, you know, spell Fazenda, right? Fazenda is a witch.
Okay.
And,
Yeah.
we have a customer
Going to the witch's house. That's funny.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess that's a very interesting story.
Hey, you asked. I had the answer.
Okay, so we're getting close to the end here. One of the most common questions I get in my business is, what do I do in the winter? So is there a winter or off season in your business? And if so, what do you do in the winter?
We usually end right before Christmas. If the weather kills us a week or two before Christmas, usually snows or the leaves stop falling. And we start back up on usually mid-March, but there's snow out there right now, so we don't think so. So April 1st usually. And all that time in between, I am taking classes. I am going to a lot of networking things.
Mm-hmm.
I spend my days from 6 o'clock till about 5 o'clock every day in my garage, repairing, cleaning, sharpening.
Sharpening, I was going to say.
I love to work on it. You know, I look forward to it like almost like a vacation, just being able to be down there, put the heat on, put the music on, and just tinker down there. I've gone through all of my hand tools, sharpened, oiled the handles, all that's done. I still got to bring the mowers in, but they're buried in snow, where they are, so I can't get to them. But they're coming in, then I got to wax all the trucks and get them ready. I actually look forward to the winter times. I don't think I would do this for a living if I had to do it all year round. I don't think I'd have it in me.
Yeah, I think it's part because I'm like very similar to that. I look forward to the winters by the time October rolls around. And I think it's not so much that you're burnt out, but you put so much into each of those properties that you just need to recharge your batteries and stuff, right? So I look forward to just the winter off and not having to, from having another job or anything like that. Just, being smart, having money away and all that stuff, not having to worry about that. And being able to do that stuff, that tinkering. For me, I've been really embracing the podcast and these interviews and all that stuff, and just recharge my batteries. And
absolutely.
But then by the spring rolls around, you're ready to go, right?
Oh, right, exactly. Yeah. That's me. I mean, it's not to say that I even slowed down. There's no moss on me. I mean, I wake up the same time in the morning. I go back in the house at the same time. At night.
Yeah.
My wife says a few days ago, she goes, it's raining out. I mean, it was snowing out. She's a teacher. She had the day off. Why don't you come in and sit in the house? We'll watch a movie together. I said, I got things to do. I said, You got a day off. I don't have a day off.
Oh, that's funny. That's so funny because my wife's a teacher too,
Oh,
and
no.
she's the same way. She'll have, in the summers off, or spring break and stuff, like spring break's coming up,
Yeah, yeah,
and she's talking about, like, we can go do this, we can go do that, and I'm like, what are you doing? I'm starting business.
yeah. Exactly.
It's go time. What are you
That's right. Exactly. Exactly. You need to go watch movies. I don't watch movies during the day. My father be yelling at me. I could hear him in my ear.
Oh yeah, that's it's
Hey,
funny.
lazy guy, what are you doing?
Yeah,
Right.
that's funny.
Yeah.
So the last question I have for you
Yep.
is or sorry, second last question. Two more questions to go. A second last one is what would be your best piece of advice for somebody starting out? If they came up to you and said, Paul, I'm thinking about starting a lawn care or landscaping business, and this is somebody that you know, and somebody that you would only want the best for, not like a stranger that comes off the street or some guy that comes up to your truck, but a family member, a family member's child or something like that, and you just want to see them succeed.
Yep.
What would you tell them?
Happened to me last year.
Okay.
Kid came up to me and asked me to say, he was actually starting it already. He was already on the road of getting going. And I get the questions just like, you would think, what piece of equipment should I buy? What truck should I buy? A lot of those kind of questions first. And I told him, I said, you got to pump the brakes. I think you should go, no knowledge in the field. So it's difficult for me to say, I don't think everybody should just start their lawn care company. I
Okay.
don't encourage it. I think that they should go work for somebody good, a good company that they can be taught, cross train them between planting, mowing, pruning, and work for that company for 4 years like they were going to college.
Mm.
And when they're there for those 4 years, take notes. How long do I take to edge these beds? How long does it take me to prune that plant? Take notes, write them down, and take that as a college education. And then at the end of those 4 or 5 years, then get into the business.
Mm.
Most companies are started as part-time companies. That's a different story. You just go out and mow, and you're a
Yeah.
cop, a fireman, teacher, whatever you are, and you're doing it as a part-time gig. That's different. But if you want to be in this for the long haul, I really believe you should go and work for someone that knows what they're doing and learn from them first,
Okay.
and gain knowledge. I tell people, and this is a saying of mine, I say it all the time. I said, don't build your plane in the air. A lot of companies build their plane in the air. You hear it a lot. Fake it until you make it.
Mm-hmm.
I hear people say that a lot, and I hate that saying. Fake it until you make it. I believe you should learn, and you're learning every day. I learn every
Yes.
day. I'm taking a test in a couple of weeks for another license. You're learning every day, but you got to have the fundamentals in place, and you avoid all the questions you hear online of how much should I charge for this? How much should I charge for that? You're being paid to learn. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Instead of getting frustrated, losing your business, maybe going bankrupt.
Yeah.
Wait, you're not getting paid big money, but you're getting paid to learn something that in 4 or
Mm-hmm.
5 years you'll have enough experience to run it on
Yeah.
your own.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
my view.
Yeah. No, that's absolutely awesome advice. And the bonus to all that is that you're getting paid the tuition instead of paying out the tuition to learn that stuff. It's
Exactly.
like, how much?
Get paid to learn.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Absolutely.
just,
People, they want to just jump. They want to jump over that and think, and it is, anybody can mow a lawn. No argument there. But there's so much that is into this business that you reach a glass ceiling with that you
yeah.
have to learn something else. You need to learn proper pruning of a rhododendron. You need to learn how to lay in a paver patio. You need to learn, and you're going to learn that all on the fly. You're
Yeah.
going to build your plane in the air. You can't build your
Yeah.
plane in the air.
Yeah.
You build the plane on the ground. right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's what I've told guys
Yeah.
in younger guys that have come to talk to me.
Yeah, that's great advice. I do this similar when I, people say, I get all the time emails from people saying, "Hey, I love your podcast. There's so much information that you share. It's motivated me to quit my job and start a lawn care business." I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. Put on the brakes. Like,
Pump the
don't
brakes.
quit your
Exactly.
job. Don't
Yeah.
quit your job. Start it on the side if you want. Do
Yeah.
the
Right.
evenings and stuff, because you may find it's not for you once you
Exactly.
get into it and stuff like that, right? Take it easy,
Totally agree. Totally
and
agree.
and just go that way. So yeah, I'm with you all the way with that.
Yeah.
So last question: how
Okay.
can people follow you online?
Follow me online. So basically, I do some YouTube videos, and I want to do
Yeah.
more of them and use it as more of a learning or training style of doing
Okay.
of helping people in a more of an old school craftsmanship style of landscaping. So
Yeah.
that I started, but I don't want to just put videos out to put videos. So if there isn't something relevant that I want to teach,
Hmm.
I'm not just going to make a video. So it'll probably start to happen more. I have a really a large size property with a lot of landscaping here on site.
Okay.
Uh, so I will be doing a lot of more training videos here this
Okay.
year. I
Yeah.
don't want to do videos on my properties. I don't feel comfortable with it. I don't.
Yeah.
My customers, I wouldn't even want to ask them to do that.
Yeah.
So as long as I can do them here and do certain training and certain help, that's where I am. And it's just my name. It's Paul Camara.
Yeah. Okay. And you have an Instagram as well, right?
Instagram as well, Paul Camara. I think it's 1973.
Okay.
Paul Camara 1973. I don't have anything under my business because I don't want the two to mix. I don't
Yeah.
really, like I said earlier, I'm not trying to advertise the business. It has nothing to do with business. It has to do with wanting
Give it
to,
back and.
yeah, I want to give back. And, I was blessed, absolutely blessed with mentors. I've had
Mhm.
5 or 6 true mentors that have taught me what I know. And I feel, and I don't have kids either. I don't have any kids.
Oh, okay.
So I feel like I want to help people and for the things that they've taught me to carry on somehow or
Okay.
another. And I'm
Yeah.
trying to put that somehow into social media. I haven't figured it out yet, but the responses on the small videos and the kind of, the what I've put out has been good and people want to learn. So if I can do that, I'd be happy. I think that would be
Yeah.
a nice, that would make me feel good inside to help other people.
Yeah. Awesome. So that's great. I'll put links to that in either the podcast show notes, as well as if you're watching this video, you'll find it in the description below. Thank you
Yep.
very much, Paul, for
Had
taking
a good
time
time
to
with this.
talk
This
to
was
me
fun.
today. Also,
This
thanks for putting out the Portuguese hat there in the background
absolutely, that's
to
Portuguese hat.
represent.
Yep. Excellent, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. We'll see you.